Did you know that Americans consume about 700 million pounds of peanut butter every year? That's enough to cover the floor of the Grand Canyon. And here's something that might surprise you. Peanuts aren't actually nuts at all, but legumes that grow underground, more closely related to beans and peas than almonds or walnuts. Welcome to another cozy deep dive where we'll unravel the complete story of one of the world's most beloved spreads. Tonight, we're taking a gentle journey through the fascinating world of peanut butter, from ancient civilizations to modern manufacturing marvels. The ancient origins and early history. Deep in the humid rainforests of South America, thousands of years ago, the rhythmic sound of stone grinding against stone echoed through ancient settlements. The Incas and Aztecs had discovered something remarkable about these curious underground legumes. When crushed just right, they transformed into a rich, protein-packed paste that we might recognize today as the very first peanut butter. The Aztecs called peanuts tlalcacahuatl, which literally translates to earth cacao. They weren't wrong. There's something almost chocolate-like in the deep, earthy richness that develops when peanuts are roasted and ground. These ancient peoples understood something profound about this humble legume. When you crush peanuts just right, their oils release and create something entirely new, something creamy and satisfying that could sustain you through long journeys or harsh winters. But here's where our story takes an interesting turn. Those peanuts that the Aztecs and Incas were grinding, they were destined for an incredible journey around the world. When Spanish conquistadors arrived in the 16th century, they encountered this strange underground crop, and intrigued by its versatility and nutritional value, decided to bring it back across the Atlantic. Now you might think peanuts would head straight to Europe, but instead, they took a detour that would change the course of history. Spanish and Portuguese traders brought peanuts to West Africa, where the warm climate and rich soil proved perfect for cultivation. African farmers embraced peanuts enthusiastically. They called them groundnuts, and soon, vast fields of these legumes were flourishing across the continent. The tragic irony is that peanuts would return to the Americas through the most horrific chapter in human history, the slave trade. Enslaved Africans brought peanut seeds with them on those terrible voyages, often hidden in their hair or sewn into their clothing. These seeds represented hope, a connection to home, and practical nutrition for survival. In the American South, enslaved people continued to cultivate peanuts. Often in small plots they were allowed to tend for their own sustenance. For generations, peanuts remained largely a crop associated with enslaved and poor communities in the American South. They were sometimes dismissively called goobers, a word that actually derives from the Kikongo word nguba. It's fascinating how language carries history, isn't it? That playful word goober actually contains within it the linguistic DNA of African heritage, and the complex journey peanuts took to reach American soil. The transformation from humble goober to beloved American staple wouldn't happen overnight. For much of the 19th century, peanuts were considered food for livestock, or at best, a snack for the poor. They were sold by street vendors, often formerly enslaved people trying to make a living in the post-Civil War South. The warm, salty smell of roasted peanuts became synonymous with bustling city streets and traveling circuses. But change was coming, and it would arrive in the form of agricultural innovation and scientific curiosity. The stage was being set for peanuts to step out of the shadows and into the American mainstream, though few could have predicted just how central they would become to the nation's culinary identity. Did you know that Americans consume about 700 million pounds of peanut butter every year? That's enough to cover the floor of the Grand Canyon. And here's something that might surprise you. Peanuts aren't actually nuts at all, but legumes that grow underground, more closely related to beans and peas than almonds or walnuts. The birth of modern peanut butter. The late 19th century was a time of remarkable innovation in America, and nowhere was this more evident than in the realm of health food. Enter Dr. John Harvey Kellogg, yes, the same Kellogg of cereal fame, a man obsessed with digestive health and vegetarian nutrition. At his Battle Creek Sanitarium in Michigan, Dr. Kellogg was experimenting with all manner of health foods, trying to create nutritious alternatives to meat for his patients. Picture the sanitarium in the 1890s. A bustling health retreat where wealthy Americans came to cure their ailments through diet, exercise, and various wellness treatments that seem quite progressive even by today's standards. The kitchen was Dr. Kellogg's laboratory, and he was always tinkering, always grinding, always searching for the perfect health food. It was here in 1895 that Dr. Kellogg patented a process for creating nut butter, not just from peanuts, but from any tree nut. His method involved boiling the nuts first, then grinding them into a smooth paste. The result was something quite different from what we know today, more like a medicinal paste than the creamy, sweet spread we're familiar with. Dr. Kellogg believed this nut butter would be easier for his patients to digest than whole nuts, and he wasn't wrong. But Dr. Kellogg wasn't the only one grinding nuts in the 1890s. Up in Montreal, Canada, a man named Marcellus Gilmore Edson was conducting his own experiments. In 1884, a full 11 years before Kellogg's patent, Edson received a patent for a method of preparing nut meal. His process involved roasting peanuts between heated surfaces, then grinding them until the natural oils created a smooth, butter-like consistency. Edson's creation was revolutionary, though he probably didn't realize it at the time. Unlike Kellogg's boiled version, Edson's method preserved more of the peanuts' natural flavor by roasting them first. The result was something much closer to what we'd recognize as peanut butter today, rich, smooth, with that distinctive roasted peanut flavor that makes your mouth water just thinking about it. The real breakthrough moment came at the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair, one of those spectacular exhibitions that defined the era. Imagine the scene: pavilions from around the world, the latest technological marvels on display, and crowds of curious visitors eager to experience something new. It was here that peanut butter made its grand debut to the American public, served by C.H. Sumner, who had purchased the rights to Edson's patent. The World's Fair was the perfect venue for this introduction. Visitors could watch the mesmerizing process of peanuts being ground fresh, the rhythmic churning of the machinery, the gradual transformation from individual peanuts to smooth, creamy butter. The aroma alone must have been intoxicating, that rich, nutty fragrance that seems to trigger something primal in our brains, a deep satisfaction that speaks to our most basic nutritional needs. But the early peanut butter machines were quite different from today's industrial processors. They were often hand-cranked affairs, operated by street vendors who would grind peanuts fresh for customers. The sound was distinctive, a steady grinding punctuated by the occasional crack of a particularly stubborn peanut. These vendors became a common sight in American cities, their machines drawing crowds of curious onlookers. The texture of this early peanut butter was inconsistent, often gritty, with pieces of peanut skin mixed in. There was no added sugar, no stabilizers, just pure ground peanuts and their natural oils. When left to sit, the oil would separate and rise to the top, creating a layer that had to be stirred back in before use. This natural separation actually became part of the ritual, the satisfying swirl of a knife through the jar, mixing the oils back into the solids. Dr. Ambrose Straub of St. Louis patented a peanut butter machine in 1903, and his design became the template for many commercial operations. His machine could process peanuts more efficiently, creating a smoother, more consistent product. The sound of these machines became synonymous with peanut butter production, a steady, rhythmic grinding that spoke of progress and innovation. As word spread about this new food, entrepreneurs began to take notice. Joseph Lambert, who had worked with Dr. Kellogg, began manufacturing peanut butter on a larger scale. His company became one of the first to produce peanut butter commercially, selling it in bulk to grocers who would scoop it into containers for customers. The early marketing of peanut butter was fascinating. It was promoted as both a health food and a luxury item, expensive enough that it was often sold in fancy stores alongside imported delicacies. Advertisements from this era describe peanut butter as nutritious, digestible, and economical. Though at several times the cost of butter, it was hardly accessible to the average family. The science of the spread. To truly understand peanut butter, we need to dive into the fascinating science happening at the molecular level every time peanuts are transformed into that smooth, creamy spread we love. It's a process that's both simple and remarkably complex, involving physics, chemistry, and a little bit of culinary magic. Let's start with the peanut itself. When you crack open a peanut shell, and isn't there something satisfying about that gentle crack and the way the shell splits along its natural seam? You're revealing a legume that's about 50% fat, 25% protein, and 20% carbohydrates. Those fats are primarily monounsaturated and polyunsaturated oils, locked away in tiny cellular structures within the peanut. The transformation begins with roasting, and this is where the science gets really interesting. As peanuts heat up in those large roasting drums, imagine the gentle tumbling sound. Like distant thunder, something magical called the Maillard reaction begins to occur. This is the same chemical process that gives bread its golden crust, coffee its rich aroma, and chocolate its deep complexity. During the Maillard reaction, amino acids and sugars in the peanuts combine under heat to create hundreds of new flavor compounds. The temperature needs to be just right, typically between 300 and 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Too low and you don't get enough flavor development. Too high and you burn the peanuts, creating bitter compounds that no amount of processing can fix. The aroma that fills a peanut roasting facility is almost overwhelming in the best possible way. It's warm, nutty, slightly sweet, with undertones that remind you of popcorn, bread, and even a hint of chocolate. This complex bouquet is created by over 200 different volatile organic compounds that are released during roasting. These molecules are so light they literally float through the air, binding to receptors in our noses and triggering that immediate salivation response. After roasting comes the grinding, and this is where physics takes over. The goal is to break down the peanut's cellular structure so completely that the oils are released and can coat all the solid particles. Traditional stone mills, still used by some artisanal producers, work by crushing and shearing the peanuts between two grinding stones. The friction generates heat, which helps release more oils and creates a smoother texture. Modern industrial grinders work on a similar principle, but with much greater precision. The peanuts typically go through multiple grinding stages. The first grind breaks them down into coarse pieces, creating what's essentially chunky peanut butter with very large chunks. The second and sometimes third grinds progressively refine the texture, breaking down the particles smaller and smaller. Here's where it gets really fascinating. The ideal particle size for smooth peanut butter is incredibly specific. The particles need to be small enough that they don't feel gritty on the tongue, generally less than 25 micrometers, but not so small that they lose their structural integrity. It's a delicate balance that requires precise control of grinding speed, temperature, and time. The reason peanut butter has that distinctive, thick, creamy texture, and why it famously sticks to the roof of your mouth, comes down to something called rheology, which is the study of how matter flows. Peanut butter is what scientists call a non-Newtonian fluid, meaning its viscosity changes depending on the stress applied to it. When peanut butter is at rest in the jar, it behaves almost like a solid. But apply stress by stirring or spreading, and it begins to flow like a very thick liquid. This property is caused by the complex interaction between the oil, the protein structures, and the tiny solid particles suspended throughout. The proteins form long, chain-like structures that can slide past each other when force is applied, but lock together when at rest. The sticking to the roof of your mouth phenomenon has a scientific explanation too. Peanut butter has very low moisture content, typically less than 2% water. So when it comes into contact with your saliva, it actually absorbs moisture from your mouth. This creates an even thicker, more viscous material that adheres strongly to the mucous membranes in your mouth. Your saliva production increases to try to compensate, but it takes time to break down all that protein and fat. Natural peanut butter, the kind with just peanuts and maybe salt separates, because oil and protein don't naturally want to stay mixed. The oils are lighter and will gradually rise to the surface, leaving a layer of what looks almost like melted butter floating on top. This is completely normal and actually a sign that no emulsifiers or stabilizers have been added. Commercial peanut butter prevents this separation through the addition of stabilizers like hydrogenated vegetable oils or palm oil. These materials have a higher melting point than peanut oil. Cultural evolution and regional variations. The story of how peanut butter spread across American culture is really a tale of changing times, evolving tastes, and the great democratization of what was once considered a luxury food. In the early 1900s, peanut butter was still largely a novelty, sold primarily in health food stores and upscale groceries. But several factors were about to transform it into one of America's most beloved foods. The first major shift came during World War I, when meat rationing made protein alternatives essential. Suddenly, peanut butter wasn't just a health food curiosity, it was patriotic. Government nutrition campaigns promoted peanut butter as meatless protein, and families across the country began incorporating it into their diets out of necessity. The wartime economy also meant that many families needed affordable, shelf-stable foods that could provide substantial nutrition without breaking the budget. It was during this period that the now iconic pairing of peanut butter and jelly was born. The combination makes perfect sense when you think about it. Peanut butter provided protein and healthy fats, while jelly added carbohydrates and quick energy. For families dealing with food shortages and rationing, a PB&J sandwich was a complete, satisfying meal that children actually wanted to eat. The 1920s brought mass production and the rise of national brands. Companies like Skippy, founded by Joseph Rosefield in 1932, revolutionized peanut butter by developing a process that prevented oil separation without compromising flavor. Rosefield's innovation involved partially hydrogenating the peanut oil, creating a product that stayed mixed and spreadable for months. The smooth, consistent texture was a revelation for consumers who were tired of the oily, separated mess that natural peanut butter could become. Jif entered the market in 1958, and the great smooth versus chunky debate began in earnest. It's fascinating how passionate people become about this preference. Smooth peanut butter lovers often describe their choice as refined and sophisticated, while chunky enthusiasts talk about texture and real peanut experience. Market research has shown that this preference often develops in childhood and rarely changes throughout life. Geographically, there are distinct patterns to these preferences. The West Coast tends to favor smooth peanut butter, while the East Coast shows a slight preference for chunky. The South, with its deep agricultural connection to peanuts, shows the most variety in preferences, perhaps because there's a greater familiarity with peanuts in all their forms. But America's relationship with peanut butter didn't develop in isolation. As American influence spread globally throughout the 20th century, peanut butter became one of our most distinctive culinary exports, though its reception varied dramatically from country to country. In Canada, peanut butter was embraced almost as enthusiastically as in the United States, though with some interesting variations. Canadian peanut butter tends to be slightly less sweet than American varieties, and there's been a stronger tradition of natural, organic peanut butter options. The Maritime provinces developed a particular fondness for peanut butter cookies, often made with local maple syrup. Mexico had a complex relationship with peanut butter, despite having indigenous traditions of ground peanut preparations. While northern Mexican states, influenced by American culture, embraced commercial peanut butter, much of the country continued to prefer traditional preparations like mole with ground peanuts, or simple roasted peanuts as snacks. Europe's reception was decidedly cooler. In France, peanut butter was often dismissed as American fast food, completely at odds with the country's sophisticated culinary traditions. The French preference for tree nut butters like almond or hazelnut meant that peanut butter remained a specialty item, found mainly in import shops catering to American expatriates. Germany showed more openness, particularly after World War II, when American influence was strong. But even there, peanut butter never achieved the cultural significance it had in America. German consumers often found it too sweet and too thick compared to their traditional bread spreads. The United Kingdom presents perhaps the most interesting case study in cultural food adoption. Despite the shared language and strong cultural ties, Brits were remarkably resistant to peanut butter for decades. It wasn't until the 1990s that peanut butter began gaining significant market share, often marketed to parents as a healthy alternative to chocolate spreads. Even now, British peanut butter consumption per capita is a fraction of American levels. In Asia, peanut butter faced the challenge of competing with established peanut-based traditions. China had centuries-old preparations using peanuts, but they were typically savory applications in sauces and stir-fries. The sweet, sandwich-oriented American style of peanut butter seemed foreign and unnecessary. Thailand presented an exception, where American-style peanut butter found a receptive audience, particularly among urban, educated populations. Thai cuisine's existing use of peanuts in both sweet and savory applications made the cultural leap to peanut butter less jarring. Australia and New Zealand embraced peanut butter more readily, though they developed their own preferences. Australian peanut butter tends to be less processed than American versions, often with a coarser texture that retains more of the original peanut character. The famous Australian brand Bega became a cultural icon, with its distinctive blue and yellow jar becoming as recognizable as any American brand. Perhaps most intriguingly, several countries developed their own variations on the peanut butter theme. In Indonesia, a spread called selai kacang combines peanuts with palm sugar and coconut, creating something that's recognizably related to peanut butter but distinctly Indonesian in character. The Netherlands developed a product called pindakaas, literally peanut cheese, which is essentially peanut butter but with a slightly different texture and flavor profile, often including added sugar and sometimes other nuts. Back in America, regional variations began to emerge as local producers put their own spin on the classic. Southern producers often emphasized their connection to peanut farming, creating products that highlighted the agricultural heritage of the region. Some added local touches like a hint of molasses or brown sugar, reflecting Southern palates. California producers, particularly as the natural foods movement gained momentum in the 1960s and 70s, began emphasizing organic, minimally processed peanut butter. These products often contained just peanuts and salt, allowing the true flavor of the nuts to shine through. The Pacific Northwest, with its coffee culture and artisanal food traditions, saw the emergence of small-batch peanut butter producers who treated the spread more like craft beer or artisanal cheese. Experimenting with different peanut varieties, roasting profiles, and even aging processes. Manufacturing magic. Step inside a modern peanut butter factory, and you'll witness one of the most mesmerizing industrial processes in food production. The journey from whole peanut to creamy spread is a carefully orchestrated dance of machinery, timing, and precision that transforms millions of peanuts daily into the jars that line grocery store shelves. The process begins long before the peanuts reach the factory, in the vast peanut farms of Georgia, Alabama, and North Carolina. These farms produce peanuts specifically for peanut butter varieties like runner peanuts that are chosen for their consistent size, oil content, and flavor profile. The peanuts arrive at the factory in massive trucks, each carrying tons of raw peanuts that have been dried and stored in climate-controlled conditions. Quality control starts immediately. Teams of inspectors examine incoming peanuts, looking for signs of moisture damage, mold, or contamination. Advanced optical sorting machines can identify and remove discolored or damaged peanuts at incredible speeds, processing thousands of pounds per hour. These machines use cameras and sensors to analyze each individual peanut, ejecting any that don't meet the strict quality standards with precisely timed puffs of air. The cleaning process is thorough and fascinating. Peanuts pass through a series of screens and air currents that remove debris, small stones, and pieces of shell. Giant fans blow away lighter materials, while heavier peanuts continue on the production line. The sound in this part of the factory is a constant rushing of air, punctuated by the gentle rattling of peanuts cascading through the cleaning equipment. Roasting is where the magic truly begins. Industrial roasters are massive rotating drums, sometimes 40 feet long, that slowly tumble the peanuts while precisely controlled burners heat them to exactly the right temperature. The roasting process typically takes about 20 minutes, and the transformation is remarkable. Raw peanuts are pale, almost white inside, with a mild, beany flavor. As they roast, they develop that characteristic golden brown color and the complex, nutty aroma that makes peanut butter so appealing. The roasting master, and yes, that's an actual job title, monitors the process constantly, adjusting temperature and timing based on factors like peanut moisture content, ambient humidity, and even the variety of peanuts being processed. It's part science, part art, requiring years of experience to master. The roasting master can determine the perfect doneness just by smell, recognizing the precise moment when the Maillard reaction has progressed far enough to develop full flavor without crossing into burnt territory. After roasting, the peanuts need to cool down quickly to stop the cooking process. They're transferred to cooling conveyors where ambient air circulation brings their temperature down to handling levels. This cooling process also helps the peanut skins become brittle, making them easier to remove in the next step. The blanching process removes those papery red skins that surround each peanut. The peanuts pass through machines that use a combination of heat and mechanical action to literally rub the skins off. The skins are separated by air currents. They're actually collected and sold as livestock feed, so nothing goes to waste. Watching this process is oddly hypnotic, thousands of peanuts tumbling together, emerging clean and golden, ready for the next stage. Now comes the grinding, and this is where different manufacturers develop their signature techniques. The first stage typically uses a coarse grinder that breaks the peanuts down into small pieces. The sound is distinctive, a deep, rhythmic grinding punctuated by the occasional crack of particularly hard peanut pieces. The air becomes filled with the rich aroma of ground peanuts, and scent so intense it can be almost overwhelming. The ground peanuts then move to the refiner mills, where the real transformation happens. These machines use steel rollers or grinding plates to break down the peanut pieces even further, releasing the natural oils and creating the smooth paste we recognize as peanut butter. The grinding action generates heat, which helps liquefy the peanut oils and create a smoother texture. For smooth peanut butter, this grinding process continues until the particle size is reduced to less than 25 micrometers, smaller than the resolution of the human eye. The mixture is tested frequently, with quality control technicians using specialized equipment to measure particle size distribution. Too large, and the peanut butter feels gritty. Too small, and it loses body and becomes overly smooth. Chunky peanut butter requires an additional step. Specially sized peanut pieces, typically between 1/8 and 1/4 inch, are added back into the smooth base. These chunks aren't random. They're carefully prepared to specific size standards, often by chopping roasted peanuts with precision equipment that creates uniform pieces. The mixing process is crucial for achieving consistent quality. Industrial mixers, some as large as small rooms, blend thousands of pounds of peanut butter at a time. If salt is added, and most commercial peanut butters contain salt to enhance flavor, it's incorporated during this mixing stage. Sugar, if used, is added here as well, along with any stabilizers that prevent oil separation. Modern peanut butter factories can produce an astounding amount of product. A single production line might process 50,000 pounds of peanuts per day, creating tens of thousands of jars of finished peanut butter. The efficiency is remarkable. What takes hours in a home kitchen can be accomplished in minutes on an industrial scale. Temperature control throughout the process is critical. If the peanut butter gets too hot during grinding or mixing, the oils can break down, affecting both flavor and texture. If it's too cold, it becomes difficult to pump through the processing equipment. Most factories maintain the peanut butter at around 100–120 degrees Fahrenheit during processing, warm enough to flow smoothly, but not hot enough to damage the delicate flavor compounds. The packaging process is a marvel of automation. Modern filling machines can fill and cap hundreds of jars per minute with incredible precision. The peanut butter is pumped through heated pipes to filling stations where exactly measured amounts are dispensed into sterilized jars. The jars themselves are heated slightly to prevent condensation, and they're capped immediately to maintain freshness. Quality control continues right through packaging. Every batch is tested for consistency, flavor, and safety. Samples are taken regularly and evaluated by trained taste panels who can detect even subtle variations in flavor or texture. The testing kitchen in a peanut butter factory looks much like any commercial kitchen, with rows of testing stations where technicians evaluate everything from color to spreadability. The filled jars then move to labeling and case packing, where they're prepared for shipment. The entire process, from raw peanut to finished product, typically takes less than a day in a modern facility. It's a testament to industrial efficiency and food science that something as simple as ground peanuts can be produced at such scale while maintaining consistent quality. Perhaps most impressive is the traceability built into modern production systems. Every jar can be traced back to the specific lot of peanuts it was made from, the exact time it was processed, and even the individual machines that were used in its production. This level of detail isn't just for quality control, it's essential for food safety, allowing for rapid response if any issues are ever detected. Peanut butter in popular culture. No food has woven itself into the fabric of American culture quite like peanut butter. It's appeared in our music, our movies, our literature, and our collective memory in ways that seem almost inevitable now, but were actually quite remarkable for what was once considered a specialty health food. The transformation of peanut butter from novelty to necessity happened gradually, then all at once. By the 1940s, it had become so associated with American childhood that soldiers overseas would write home asking for care packages containing peanut butter, not just for the taste, but for the comfort of familiar flavors from home. These wartime letters often described the simple pleasure of a peanut butter sandwich as a connection to everything they were fighting to protect. But perhaps no figure is more associated with peanut butter in popular culture than Elvis Presley. The King's legendary love affair with peanut butter, banana, and bacon sandwiches began in childhood and lasted throughout his life. The sandwich grilled in butter until golden, the peanut butter slightly melted, the bananas caramelized, and the bacon crispy became as much a part of Elvis mythology as his music. The Elvis sandwich wasn't just a personal quirk, it became a cultural phenomenon. Restaurants across the South began serving their own versions, and the combination took on almost mystical properties among fans. There's something perfect about the pairing when you think about it. The rich, salty peanut butter, the sweet bananas, the smoky bacon, all held together by buttery, toasted bread. It's indulgent in a way that perfectly captured Elvis's larger-than-life persona. The story goes that Elvis once flew from Graceland to Denver in the middle of the night just to get peanut butter sandwiches from a specific restaurant. While the details may be embellished, the tale speaks to something deeper about peanut butter's role in American culture. It's comfort food so powerful it can justify extraordinary measures. Children's literature embraced peanut butter early and enthusiastically. The simple pleasure of a peanut butter sandwich became shorthand for childhood contentment, appearing in countless books as the meal that loving parents prepared for their children. The act of spreading peanut butter, carefully covering every corner of the bread, sometimes with jelly swirled in artistic patterns, became a ritual passed down through generations. The peanut butter and jelly sandwich achieved a kind of cultural perfection that few foods can claim. It's simple enough for a child to make independently, nutritious enough for parents to approve, affordable enough for any family budget, and delicious enough to never get old. PB&J became the default school lunch for millions of American children, creating shared experiences and memories that transcended economic and social boundaries. Television advertising played a huge role in cementing peanut butter's place in popular culture. The famous Jif slogan, "Choosy Moms Choose Jif," wasn't just marketing. It tapped into something real about how parents viewed peanut butter as a wholesome choice for their families. Skippy's campaigns often featured children in idealized suburban settings, reinforcing peanut butter's association with happy, healthy childhood. The Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, introduced in 1928, created an entirely new category of confection and proved that Americans' love for peanut butter extended far beyond sandwiches. The combination of chocolate and peanut butter was revelatory, two familiar flavors that somehow became something greater than the sum of their parts. The success of Reese's spawned countless imitators and variations, from peanut butter cookies to ice cream flavors. Peanut butter's versatility made it a favorite of creative cooks and food writers. Cookbook authors discovered that peanut butter could enhance both sweet and savory dishes, leading to innovations like African-inspired peanut stews and Thai-influenced peanut sauces. This culinary flexibility helped peanut butter transcend its humble sandwich origins and become a legitimate cooking ingredient. The rise of natural foods movements in the 1960s and 70s gave peanut butter new cultural relevance. Natural peanut butter, with just peanuts and salt, oil separation, and all became a symbol of authentic, unprocessed food. Shopping at natural food stores and stirring your own peanut butter became acts of conscious consumption, ways to resist mass-produced, overly processed foods. College students discovered peanut butter as the perfect dorm room staple. It didn't require refrigeration, provided substantial nutrition, and could be eaten straight from the jar when proper meals weren't available. The image of the struggling student surviving on peanut butter sandwiches became a cultural touchstone, a rite of passage that nearly every American college graduate could relate to. Peanut butter's role during the Great Depression cemented its reputation as an affordable protein source. Families who couldn't afford meat could still provide their children with substantial nutrition thanks to peanut butter. This history gave peanut butter a certain dignity. It wasn't just junk food, but survival food that had helped America through hard times. The space program gave peanut butter an unexpected boost in cultural prestige. NASA chose peanut butter as part of astronaut rations because it was nutritious, stable, and familiar enough to provide comfort in the alien environment of space. The image of astronauts eating peanut butter in zero gravity captured the American imagination. Here was proof that peanut butter was so essentially American that we literally took it to the stars. Regional variations in peanut butter preparation became part of local food cultures. In some parts of the South, peanut butter was commonly mixed with mayonnaise for sandwiches, a combination that sounds bizarre, but actually makes sense when you consider that both ingredients are primarily fat and protein. In parts of the Midwest, peanut butter and pickle sandwiches developed a devoted following, the sharp acidity of the pickles providing contrast to the rich peanut butter. The phenomenon of peanut butter as a comfort food during times of stress became well documented. Sales consistently spiked during economic downturns, natural disasters, and other periods of uncertainty. There's something about the combination of familiar flavor, nutritional density, and long shelf life that makes peanut butter feel like security in food form. Perhaps most remarkably, peanut butter became a bridge between generations. Grandparents who had lived through the Depression could connect with grandchildren through shared peanut butter cookies or sandwiches. The basic pleasure of peanut butter, that rich, nutty flavor and satisfying texture, remained constant even as everything else changed around it. Health, nutrition, and allergies. The relationship between peanut butter and health is complex and fascinating, evolving dramatically over the decades from miracle health food to dietary villain and back toward a more nuanced understanding. To truly grasp this evolution, we need to explore both the nutritional science and the cultural forces that have shaped our perception of this beloved spread. Let's start with the nutritional facts, because peanut butter is genuinely impressive from a macronutrient standpoint. A typical 2 tablespoon serving contains about 190 calories, with roughly 16 grams of fat, 8 grams of protein, and 6 grams of carbohydrates. But these raw numbers don't tell the whole story. The protein in peanut butter is particularly noteworthy. While it's not a complete protein, meaning it doesn't contain all essential amino acids in optimal ratios, it's still a substantial source of plant-based protein. The amino acid profile is actually quite good, with high levels of arginine, which plays important roles in immune function and wound healing. For vegetarians and vegans, peanut butter became an accessible way to boost protein intake long before protein powders and meat substitutes were widely available. The fat content, once viewed with suspicion during the low-fat diet craze of the 1980s and 90s, is now understood to be primarily beneficial. About half of the fats in peanut butter are monounsaturated, the same type found in olive oil and linked to heart health benefits. Another quarter are polyunsaturated fats, including some omega-6 fatty acids. Only about a quarter of the fats are saturated, and even those aren't necessarily problematic in the context of a balanced diet. Peanut butter is also surprisingly rich in micronutrients. It's an excellent source of niacin, vitamin B3, which plays crucial roles in energy metabolism and DNA repair. A serving provides about 20% of the daily recommended intake. It's also rich in vitamin E, a powerful antioxidant that protects cell membranes from damage. The magnesium content is substantial too, about 12% of daily needs in 2 tablespoons. And magnesium is involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions in the human body. The early 20th century health food advocates weren't wrong about peanut butter's nutritional value. Dr. Kellogg and his contemporaries recognized that peanut butter provided concentrated nutrition in a form that was easy to digest and absorb. For people with poor teeth or digestive issues, peanut butter offered access to nutrients that might otherwise be difficult to obtain. During the Great Depression, peanut butter's nutritional density became crucial for family survival. A peanut butter sandwich could provide substantial calories, protein, and essential nutrients for pennies. Mothers who couldn't afford meat could still ensure their children received adequate protein for growth and development. This period cemented peanut butter's reputation as democratic nutrition, healthy food that didn't require wealth to access. The post-World War II era brought new understanding of nutrition science, and peanut butter continued to be viewed favorably. The emerging field of sports nutrition recognized peanut butter as an excellent food for athletes, providing quick energy from carbohydrates and sustained energy from fats and proteins. Many athletic training programs included peanut butter as a recommended food for building and maintaining muscle mass. But the 1980s brought a seismic shift in how Americans thought about dietary fat. The low-fat diet movement, driven by concerns about heart disease and obesity, suddenly cast peanut butter in a villainous light. Those 16 grams of fat per serving, once viewed as beneficial, were now seen as dangerous. Peanut butter sales declined as health-conscious consumers avoided high-fat foods. This period saw the rise of reduced-fat peanut butter products, which replaced some of the peanut oil with corn syrup and other fillers. Ironically, these products often contained more sugar and additives than regular peanut butter, while providing less satiety and fewer beneficial nutrients. The reduced-fat versions never gained significant market share, perhaps because they simply didn't taste as good as the original. The pendulum began swinging back in the 1990s and 2000s as nutrition science became more sophisticated. Researchers began distinguishing between different types of fats and recognizing that not all fats were equally harmful. Studies emerged showing that people who regularly consumed nuts and nut butters actually had lower rates of heart disease, not higher ones. The Mediterranean diet research was particularly influential in rehabilitating peanut butter's reputation. This eating pattern, associated with exceptional longevity and low rates of chronic disease, emphasized healthy fats from sources like olive oil, nuts, and seeds. While peanuts aren't technically nuts, they share many of the same beneficial properties, and peanut butter began to be viewed more favorably by nutrition experts. Modern research has revealed some fascinating aspects of peanut butter's health effects. Studies have shown that the combination of protein, fat, and fiber in peanut butter can help stabilize blood sugar levels, making it a good choice for people managing diabetes. The satiety factor is significant too. People who eat peanut butter tend to feel full longer, which can actually support weight management despite the high calorie content. But perhaps the most dramatic health story surrounding peanut butter involves allergies. Peanut allergies were extremely rare before the 1990s, but they began increasing at an alarming rate, particularly among children. By the 2000s, peanut allergies had become the leading cause of severe food allergy reactions, affecting roughly 1% of the population, and creating widespread concern among parents and schools. The rise in peanut allergies transformed peanut butter from a universal childhood food to a potential danger. Schools began implementing peanut-free policies, airlines stopped serving peanuts, and parents became hypervigilant about reading ingredient labels. The cultural impact was profound. Generations of children grew up without the shared experience of peanut butter sandwiches that had been nearly universal for their parents. The exact causes of the peanut allergy epidemic remain somewhat mysterious, but researchers have identified several contributing factors. The hygiene hypothesis suggests that reduced exposure to bacteria and allergens in early childhood may make immune systems more likely to overreact to harmless substances like peanut proteins. Changes in how peanuts are processed, including dry roasting instead of boiling, may create more allergenic proteins. Paradoxically, one of the most significant recent developments in peanut allergy research suggests that early exposure, not avoidance, may be the key to prevention. The landmark LEAP study found that infants at high risk for peanut allergies were actually less likely to develop them if they were exposed to peanut products early in life. This finding has revolutionized pediatric allergy recommendations and may help reverse the trend toward increasing peanut allergies. For the vast majority of people who can safely consume peanuts, current nutrition science views peanut butter quite favorably. It's recognized as a good source of plant protein, healthy fats, and various micronutrients. The key, as with most foods, is moderation and context. Peanut butter, as part of a varied diet that includes fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, can contribute to overall health and well-being. The resveratrol content in peanuts has also attracted attention from researchers. This compound, famous for its presence in red wine, has antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. While the levels in peanuts aren't as high as in grapes, regular consumption may still provide meaningful benefits. Interestingly, the way peanut butter is consumed affects its nutritional impact. When eaten with carbohydrate-rich foods like bread or crackers, the protein and fat in peanut butter help slow the absorption of sugars, preventing blood sugar spikes. This makes peanut butter sandwiches a more balanced choice than many people realize. The fiber content in peanut butter, while modest at about 2 grams per serving, still contributes to digestive health and helps with satiety. Natural peanut butters with the skins left on provide slightly more fiber than heavily processed versions. Recent research has even suggested that regular nut and nut butter consumption may be associated with longer lifespan and reduced risk of various chronic diseases. While the mechanisms aren't fully understood, the combination of protein, healthy fats, antioxidants, and minerals in peanut butter may work synergistically to support overall health. Unexpected uses and fun facts. Beyond its role as a beloved food, peanut butter has found its way into some truly surprising applications that showcase both human ingenuity and the unique properties of this versatile spread. These unexpected uses reveal fascinating aspects of peanut butter's chemistry and physics that most people never consider when they're simply enjoying a sandwich. One of the most famous alternative uses for peanut butter is removing chewing gum from hair, clothing, and furniture. This works because both peanut butter and chewing gum are primarily composed of similar hydrocarbon compounds. The oils in peanut butter can actually dissolve the polymers in gum, breaking down its sticky structure. Parents have been using this trick for generations, carefully working creamy peanut butter into the gum until it loosens enough to be removed. The process requires patience. You massage the peanut butter into the gum for several minutes, allowing the oils to penetrate and soften the gum's matrix. The same principle that makes peanut butter effective against gum also makes it useful for removing sticky labels and adhesive residue. The oils can break down many types of adhesives, making stubborn price tags and stickers much easier to remove. Some people swear by peanut butter for cleaning crayon marks off walls, though this application requires careful testing to ensure it doesn't stain the surface. During World War II, peanut butter found an unexpected military application. Beyond its obvious value as a portable, nutritious food, creative soldiers discovered that peanut butter could be used to waterproof equipment. The thick, oily paste could seal small gaps and cracks, providing temporary protection against moisture. While not exactly standard military procedure, field reports document numerous instances of peanut butter being used for emergency repairs on everything from radio equipment to vehicle parts. The automotive world has its own peanut butter folklore. Some mechanics claim that smooth peanut butter can temporarily seal small radiator leaks, though this is definitely not recommended as a permanent solution. The theory is that the thick paste can plug tiny holes until proper repairs can be made. More reliably documented is the use of peanut butter to remove tar and tree sap from car paint. The oils can soften these substances without damaging automotive finishes. Birdwatchers have long known that peanut butter makes excellent bird food, particularly for species that struggle with traditional seed feeders. Woodpeckers, nuthatches, and chickadees are especially fond of peanut butter. Many bird feeding enthusiasts create elaborate feeding stations using peanut butter mixed with cornmeal or oats, spread on tree bark or specialized feeders. The high fat and protein content provides excellent nutrition for birds, particularly during cold winter months when energy needs are highest. The mathematical precision required for the perfect peanut butter and jelly sandwich has actually been studied by food scientists and mathematicians. The optimal ratio, according to research, is approximately 1.5 to 1, that is, 1.5 parts peanut butter to 1 part jelly. This ratio provides the best balance of flavors while ensuring the sandwich holds together structurally. The peanut butter should be spread evenly to the edges to create a moisture barrier that prevents the jelly from making the bread soggy. In the realm of household maintenance, peanut butter has found surprising applications. Some furniture restorers use it to remove watermarks from wood surfaces. The oils can penetrate the wood and help eliminate the white marks left by moisture, though this technique requires careful application and thorough cleaning afterward. Similarly, peanut butter has been used to fill small nail holes in wood paneling. The thick consistency can fill gaps, and when painted over, it becomes nearly invisible. The cosmetic industry has occasionally embraced peanut butter for its moisturizing properties. While not common due to allergy concerns, some natural skincare enthusiasts create homemade face masks using peanut butter mixed with honey. The oils and vitamin E in peanut butter can indeed moisturize skin, though this application obviously requires extreme caution due to allergy risks. Athletes have discovered creative uses for peanut butter beyond simple nutrition. Rock climbers sometimes use it to improve their grip. The sticky, tacky texture can provide extra friction on challenging holds. This practice is more folklore than standard technique, but the physics make sense. The oils in peanut butter can fill microscopic irregularities in both skin and rock, potentially increasing friction. The art world has embraced peanut butter in unexpected ways. Some artists have used it as a medium for temporary installations, taking advantage of its sculptural properties when cold and its ability to attract insects and animals for environmental art pieces. The brown color and smooth texture have made it a substitute for paint in some experimental works, though these pieces are obviously ephemeral. Emergency preparedness experts sometimes recommend peanut butter as part of survival kits, not just for nutrition, but for its versatility. In survival situations, peanut butter can serve as emergency fire starter. The oils burn slowly and provide sustained heat. It can also be used as emergency lip balm or skin moisturizer, protecting against windburn and chapping. The pharmaceutical industry has studied peanut butter as a delivery mechanism for medications, particularly for children who refuse to take pills or liquid medicines. The thick, pleasant-tasting paste can mask bitter flavors while ensuring proper dosing. Some veterinarians regularly use peanut butter to help administer medications to dogs, taking advantage of most dogs' enthusiasm for the taste. Perhaps most remarkably, peanut butter has found applications in scientific research. Some laboratories use peanut butter as bait in animal behavior studies because it's highly attractive to many species while being easy to control and measure. Researchers studying everything from rat behavior to primate cognition have used peanut butter as a motivational tool. The nuclear industry has an unusual relationship with peanuts and peanut butter. Some nuclear facilities actually monitor peanut allergies among their workforce because peanut proteins can be detected in extremely small quantities, making them useful as tracers in certain types of contamination studies. This application takes advantage of the highly sensitive detection methods available for peanut proteins. Food scientists have discovered that peanut butter can serve as a model system for studying emulsion, stability, and rheological properties. The complex mixture of proteins, oils, and solids in peanut butter exhibits behaviors that help researchers understand how other food products will perform under various conditions. International aid organizations have recognized peanut butter's unique combination of nutritional density, shelf stability, and palatability for emergency food relief. Specially formulated therapeutic peanut butter products, often enriched with vitamins and minerals, have become crucial tools in fighting malnutrition in developing countries. These products can literally mean the difference between life and death for severely malnourished children. Perhaps what's most beautiful about peanut butter is its democracy. It's a food that transcends economic boundaries, bringing the same basic satisfaction to a child's school lunch as it does to an astronaut floating in space. Whether you're team smooth or team chunky, whether you prefer it straight from the jar or carefully spread on warm toast, peanut butter remains one of those rare foods that can instantly transport us back to childhood while still satisfying our adult selves. As we close this creamy chapter on peanut butter's remarkable journey, I hope you found the same comfort in these stories that generations have found in a simple spoonful of this beloved spread. Until we meet again, may your rest be as smooth as your favorite peanut butter, and your dreams as rich as its history.